What is up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are checking out 10 most insane weapons in the world, guys. This is going to be quite amazing. We will definitely see some weapons we've never actually seen before. So let's get straight into it, guys. Let's see what we got.
Since the dawn of warfare, man has always strived to invent the perfect weapon to defeat his enemies. And it really is amazing how far we've come since then, with some organizations inventing some unreal weapons.
Like as the years go past, guys, like every single year there's new and newer weapons in the world. It's unbelievable.
From a fully automatic 12-gauge shotgun to a crazy gun that fires over 1 million rounds per minute. Check out these 10 insane military technologies. Auto Assault 12. The AA-12 Auto Assault Shotgun is one of the rarest and most sought-after shotguns in the world. It was originally developed by Maxwell Acheson during his time at Military Armaments Corporation in the early 70s. Production rights were then sold to Jerry Baber of Military Police Systems in 1987, who released his improved model in 2004, and a year later it entered production after having no less than 200 changes and improvements over the original blueprint. The AA-12 is a fully automatic gas-operated API blowback shotgun chambered for two 3/4-inch 12-gauge shells, including buckshot, flares, slugs, stun batons, and high-explosive Frag-12 grenade rounds. It can use two types of magazines, a detachable 8-round box magazine or a drum with capacity ranging from 20 to 32 rounds. It has a cyclic rate of 300 rounds per minute with a muzzle velocity of 1,050 feet per second. The slow rate of fire makes single shots or bursts very easy to achieve by briefly pulling the trigger, despite the fact that it fires in full auto only. Expanding Bullet.
That has a cool name, not gonna lie.
It's interesting to know that even war has rules when it comes to using certain kinds of ammunition. During the First World War, German newspapers began accusing the French, along with mythical Belgian free shooters, of using what was called dum-dum or expanding bullets. An official German complaint showed that the British were issuing this ammunition to its army. The bullet, a .455 Mk4 round, was a flat-nosed, unjacketed man-stopper type of ammunition. It was quickly withdrawn from frontline service because it was outlawed by the 1907 Hague Convention because they could cause terrible wounds and unnecessary suffering. It was the Indian Army that developed the hollow-nose expanding bullet in Dum Dum, an industrial municipality outside of Calcutta and where the round got its name from. Bullets with pointed tips were then designed for use in the early 1900s to improve ballistic performance, but these had a tendency to tumble upon entering the human body, and sometimes causing far more damage than dum-dums. The interesting thing is that hollow point ammunition is widely used by police forces in the USA because of its stopping power, along with the argument that restricting them would harm innocent bystanders.
That's crazy,
Nerve
man.
Agent VX. When it comes to being the most insane and deadly weapons of all time, VX or Venomous Agent X should be at the top of the list.
I've seen that logo somewhere before.
Stockpiles of the stuff have been continually destroyed since the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1997
It's something to do with chemicals, if I'm correct.
and outlawed their use. Classified by the United Nations as a weapon of mass destruction and defined by the CDC as the most potent of all nerve agents, VX is an incredibly potent and rapid-acting poison that cripples the nervous system and causes total paralysis, and eventually, the victim suffocates. It is fatal after breathing in just 25 to 30 milligrams, or just 10 milligrams if it comes into contact with the skin. Once in the body, it works rapidly by acting on a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which neurons rely on to send signals to muscles ordering them to move. Once the signals are sent, acetylcholine breaks down, ending the line of communication. VX prevents acetylcholine from breaking down, resulting in an overabundance of communication. The muscles get overstimulated, and the brain can no longer control the body's movements. Symptoms include blurred vision, drooling and sweating, rapid breathing, and irregular heart rate. It is when the muscles that guide the
That is just horrible, man.
chest's rise and fall during breathing are affected that it becomes a major problem. And when they are paralyzed, breathing becomes impossible. And it all happens within minutes. No wonder this terrible weapon is outlawed. Hydrogen bomb. The hydrogen bomb or thermonuclear bomb is more powerful than atomic or fission bombs like the ones that were used to devastate the Japanese cities of Nagasaki and Hiroshima during World War II. Those bombs exploded with a yield of 15 and 20 kilotons of TNT respectively. In contrast, the first test of a hydrogen bomb in the United States happened in November 1952, which yielded an explosion of 10,000 kilotons of TNT, and by 1954, the United States detonated a bomb in nuclear test Castle Bravo, which had a yield of 15 megatons of TNT, 2.5 times more than the predicted 6.0 megatons.
Look at that explosion, bro.
Which was the result of using lithium deuteride, resulting in a tritium bonus, where cascading neutrons transformed it into tritium and helium, and tritium causes extremely energetic fusion. At 6:45 a.m. local time on March 1, 1954, the device was detonated and many observers knew something had gone spectacularly wrong in the first seconds. The flash from the bomb was so great that men saw their bones appear as shadows through their flesh, and streams of light shone through the smallest cracks and pinholes in secured doors and hatches. More than 30 miles away aboard Navy ships,
That is just scary, man. Unbelievable.
sailors said the heat was like having a blowtorch aimed at their bodies. The shockwave was incredible, almost knocking observation aircraft from the sky. And then there was the fireball, stretching 4 miles in diameter and hotter than the surface of the sun. It was the biggest explosion in history at the time, but
Shit.
later, the Soviet Union would drop something much bigger. Metal storm.
What is
If
that?
a name ever fit a weapon perfectly, then it would be the Metal Storm. This thing is an Australian-made US-funded weapon and has 36 barrels put together in a box configuration that can reportedly fire 1.62 million rounds per minute and fires 180 rounds in a 0.01 second burst, and at its peak, it can send a wall of 24,000 9mm rounds moving at Mach 5. The fastest mechanical weapons system can only spit out around 6,000 rounds per minute, but the Metal Storm ammunition cartridge is special and has no shell casing and no primer. In fact, the gun itself has no trigger hammer or breech block. The craziest thing is that the only moving part is the bullets, which are stacked up nose to tail in each barrel and are fired electronically one at a time from front to rear. Although it's really insane, the cost and the weight, not to mention the setup time for single use, keep the application of this weapon very circumstantial. Like when you need to shoot something 1 million times in just 60 seconds. Plague bomb. Located in Harbin, China, Unit 731 was created with legitimate intentions by the Japanese government to promote public health and conduct research that would benefit Japanese soldiers, including how long someone could survive hunger, thirst, and certain diseases. But as the war went on, the Japanese turned to using prisoners of war as test subjects, and at least 250,000 people perished at the hands of experimentation. The most terrible things you can imagine were done here. So terrible, we can't speak about them on this video. But one of the things they tested was releasing rats infected with bubonic plague with the intention of infecting the prisoners so they could be studied. This led to the plague bomb, and in China's eastern province of Xinjiang and central Hunan province from 1940 to 1942, rats were airdropped, and people who lived in these areas describes how people dropped like flies in hours or days, their bodies swollen and black. Luckily for the United States, the Japanese surrender on September 2, 1945 stopped a plan for kamikaze pilots to attack San Diego with planes filled with plague-infected fleas.
Oh, wow. All right.
Dusank laser weapon system. Thanks to some early science fiction stories, laser weapons have always fascinated many people. For a while,
Sure.
many people thought such weapons would be impossible to create, or would be powerful enough to do serious damage so that it could be used in warfare. But the future has arrived. The Dusank laser weapon system, or more easily called the XN1 Laws, is a directed energy laser weapon developed by the United States Navy. The first prototype was installed on the USS Ponce for testing in
No way. I do not believe there's actually a laser weapon, bro.
2014, where it worked perfectly against low-end threats and took out a UAV and a simulated small boat attacker. Laws uses an infrared beam with a solid-state laser array which can be tuned to destroy a target using 30,000 watts of power to fry sensors, burn out motors, or detonate explosive materials such as rockets or bombs mounted on warplanes or helicopters.
Oh, wow.
Neutron bomb. Another weapon sounding like it's right out of a science fiction novel is the neutron bomb. It's also called an enhanced radiation warhead and is a specialized nuclear weapon that doesn't produce as large a blast as a conventional nuclear warhead and instead releases large amounts of lethal radiation. It's actually a small thermonuclear bomb with a few kilograms of plutonium or uranium ignited by a conventional explosive which creates a fission trigger to ignite a fusion explosion in a capsule containing several grams of deuterium tritium. Still with us? Good. This bomb might have only a 1 kiloton yield, but in a 1.2 mile radius, the fusion reaction would throw off a powerful wave of neutron and gamma radiation penetrating through armor, several feet of earth, and through living tissue. Electromagnetic railgun. A theoretical dream for ages, the railgun is unlike any other weapon used in warfare. It's faster, cheaper, and more lethal than a conventional type of gun or cannon. Conventional guns or cannons use an explosive propellant to send a projectile at its target, but the railgun uses a heavy solid slug that relies on its mass and velocity to do heavy damage. In a railgun, the two rails act like wires with a magnetic field circulating around each rail. It takes 2 minutes to charge the weapon and only a fraction of a second to fire. Upon impact, the slug projectile superheats, which results in a hypersonic spear of slag capable of penetrating armor, melting steel, and burning everything else in its path. Such a round could be designed to fragment before impact, showering its target with high-velocity molten metal. Compared with missiles that can cost from $500,000 to $1.5 million each, the railgun offers a much more economical means of engaging the enemy. Project Thor. This project has been looked at for many years, and the interesting thing is that the US military has looked at it again as recently as 2017. Also called Rods from God, Project Thor was supposed to be some kind of satellite or launcher vehicle that would be launched into orbit with 20-foot long by 1-foot diameter tungsten
It's like a movie, bro.
rods. It would then move over its intended target and launch its projectiles. Using kinetic energy, the tungsten rods could end up traveling at over Mach 10 with an explosive impact of 11.5 tons of TNT. It is said that the US has the technology to deploy this weapon at will, but the biggest drawback is the cost, and also the concern that non-tungsten components of the projectile would melt if exceeded Mach 10.
Wow.
Whatever the case is, Project Thor would certainly be a terrifying weapon. That concludes our list of 10 insane military technology.
That is just scary, man. Some weapons there were, I don't know, bro. You never want to experience anything like that, like, ever, you know? Very scary stuff right there. Let me know, guys, your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. It truly helps out with the YouTube algorithm. We'll see you on the next video. Peace out.